All right, let's go. What's good? What's good? What's good? You two in Apartment 5B, hosted by your man. I got my squad with me on tap for the day, as always. Porsche, what's going on, miss?
How's it going, guys?
Everything is great. Everything is good over here. My man Gadget, what's going on, fam? Been a minute.
I know. I miss you guys, but I'm back.
All right, no doubt. DJ Rack with the ill Eagles fitted. What's going on, good brother?
I had to rep my team today, man. Just, got to support,
All right, no doubt. Look, let's get into it. One of the things I've been wanting to do is coming up with a way to document more of the hip hop history. I love the conversations we have, debates and all that, but I realize with so many other younger generation that, we're blessed because trust me, when I got on Twitter 11 years ago, I did not think anybody under the ages of 38 would even think about following me. And we have a huge following of younger folks. So it's not, somebody posted something the other day and it was like cats was getting on him for not knowing. And I said, nah, man, like don't diss somebody for not knowing. Like he wasn't even coming off like he knew his shit. He just, said the wrong thing. You know what I mean? I forgot what it was. It'll hit me. But I'm like, nah, like fall back, y'all. Like, yo, he didn't know, and let's school him. So one of the things I was thinking about doing is starting to salute record labels, because one thing that a lot of the younger generation don't understand, like I'm sure with all of y'all, when I heard, De La Soul, it just went to Tommy Boy. Like it just like the two just connected. It was almost like the record label was part of the group. Like, I couldn't hear Naughty by Nature and not know that, or I can't see Run DMC and go Profile. Like you name any artist from the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, I'm gonna correlate them to a record label. So wanted to start saluting these record labels, shouting them out and everything. The first label we are doing to set this off is Def Jam Records. I'm gonna go into a quick 3-minute synopsis of the label, but tell me this, y'all. When is the first time, before I do that, when is the first time that y'all heard of Def Jam Records? Like, what was it? Was it seeing the album cover? Was it hearing the song? What was it? Porsche, what was it for you the first time that you heard of Def Jam Records?
It was honestly the little tiny Def Jam logo that was on the back of the tapes and CDs. I would always read I mean, you walk into a record store and you're picking up physical copies. The first thing you're going to do is look at the cover. Then you're going to flip it and look at the back, and you're going to read the back. I mean, that's what I used to do. And then there was always that little Def Jam logo in the corner. So I think, oh man, as far back as I can remember, I think it would have had to have been either, I want to say most vividly, I remember it from Method Man.
Okay.
That's who, to me, is like synonymous with Def Jam. But it goes further back than that, obviously. I mean, Public Enemy was signed to Def Jam. So, but Method Man for me, I remember it vividly.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Gage?
I was trying to think. I would have to say it was either going to be Public Enemy or LL. I can't remember which of those records I saw the Def Jam logo first, but it had to be either one of those two.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Rap?
So I think the first time I realized it was a label, like I didn't grow up in America, my early ages. I didn't get to America till 85. So the first time I realized it was a label was actually watching Crush Groove. Was when I realized it was something. But as far as like putting the label together when it comes to music, I would say it would most likely have been Public Enemy. I kind of missed the LL, early stages. I had to kind of backtrack and get to that. But for me, it was Public Enemy for sure.
All right, no doubt. And I want to say the first time for me was probably, I guess it's 84, 85 with the LL Cool J joint, the radio joint. You know what I mean? And just like Porsche said, you flip it on the back, you see the Def Jam logo, and it was, and then for me, it was also when you got the 12-inch. Really, the first time was Tila Rock's It's Yours 12-inch. You know what I mean? And just seeing the Technique 1200 record arms in the arm, which I thought was an ill logo,
that was a sleeping bag, that record?
Nah, Tila Rock was Def Jam. That was Def Jam. That was actually their first release with the Def Jam logo and everything like that. But let me dive into some of this stuff right here. First things first, off of Def Jam started in 83, 84 in Rick Rubin's dorm room at NYU. So again, for some of this stuff, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm doing the research. I'm learning a lot. Some of it I knew, some of it I learned. So, prayerfully, it's somebody will learn something. First single was actually Rick Rubin's punk rock group called Hose. The first single with the Def Jam logo was Tila Rock's It's Yours. The first with Def Jam's with an actual catalog number on it was LL's I Need a Beat and the Beastie Boys Rock Hard, which, to be honest with you, I've never heard of the Beastie Boys Rock Hard joint, which led to a distribution deal with CBS through Columbia. So one of the things that we'll be talking about in these record labels, these salute shows, is you'll see how subsidiaries work. Because I was talking to my man about it the other day, and he had no idea how subsidiaries worked or anything like that. And it's not even about being a young boy. He's actually, I'm 45, he's 46. And, he didn't really understand that Bad Boy was a subsidiary of Arista. He thought, which is fine. Again, this is no diss. I'm all about, y'all know I'm a teacher by day. So I love being able to help folk understand it. But it was like, no, Bad Boy was not a label. Technically it was, but it was under another label. So then some of the spinoff labels from Def Jam, the first one was OBO, Original Black Recordings, which was marketed to the R&B crowd back in 85. For cats who may remember Orange Juice Jones joint, The Rain, one of my favorite songs, probably the only song Orange Juice Jones, hell, it's the only song I ever heard that he's known for. Then a few years later, just being honest, and I love that joint. A few years later, Russell and Liar, I keep saying Liar because I've been listening to Chuck D. His name is Leor Cohen. Chuck D likes to call him Liar Cohen. So by listening to Chuck so much, I just call him Liar Cohen. They started RAL, which was Russ Associated Labels, which was the first home to EPMD and Nice and Smooth, because they were originally on Sleeping Bag Records. When Sleeping Bag Records folded, RAL labels snatched up EPMD and Nice and Smooth. Also, those RAL records included Redman, Onyx, the Flatliners, Domino, Warren G, and J.O. Felony.
So RAL was the management arm.
Well, according to this, that it was the Rush Associated Labels too, because you have Rush Management, what I mean, which was different, because then that goes into, and that's a dope segue into this, because if you think about it, on God, what Paid in Full, when Eric B and Rakim are talking, he's like, who we rolling with? We rolling with Rush, on Rushtown Management. You know what I mean? So you had Rushtown Management, which was different than Rush Associated Labels.
You're managing the artist on your label. You're getting paid twice.
There you go. There you Gadget. This is the American way. This is the American way. You know what I mean? In 86, Def Jam signed his first and only metal band, Slayer. Now, this is the wild part. That was distributed through Geffen as opposed to CBS, which has me wondering, how are you signed to Columbia CBS as your distribution, but you're also able to put out another album through Geffen, which was separate, but which is I'll never understand that. Then Leor Cohen became president. I'm gonna be calling him Liar all night, y'all. So just get used to it. Fuck it. Liar Cohen became president in 88 after he had a power struggle with Rick Rubin, who eventually left the label and started Def America, and he took Slayer with him. So after 88, Rick Rubin is out, which is crazy to me because Rick is such a huge part of what Def Jam was. For people who may not know, to me, Rick was more of the artist part of Def Jam, and Russ was more of the business. Like Rick said, and I got a book down here I want to shout out, this Rick Rubin book in the studio with Rick Rubin, and where Rick talks about how, when he met Russell was already managing Curtis Blow, and that's when Run from Run DMC was the son of Curtis Blow and was Curtis Blow's DJ. So when Rick met Russell, Rick was looking at Russell like, damn, you already on. You know what I mean? So, but Rick was so much of the part of signing the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys, I think it was Ad Rock was the one who was going through demo tapes and found LL's demo, so Rick was the one signing. Rick he said he was calling Chuck D for 6 months trying to get him a record deal, and Chuck didn't even want a record deal. That sounds like some Pee Wee Kirkland shit right there. For folk who don't know, Pee Wee Kirkland got drafted by the Bulls, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm making more money out here in Harlem than I am going to the Bulls." You know what I mean?
Yeah, crazy.
So the fact that you had Rick was begging Chuck to make a record is just is crazy to me. In '94, and this is where like the record labels where you can kind of, and we're not doing it probably on this set, but in time, look at how things start to change, because keep in mind they started off with CBS. Now in '94 they got purchased by Polygram, so now they're under the whole PGD label, which is Warren G. And some of the albums that got released starting with the Polygram was Warren G's first album, LL's Mr. Smith album, and Foxy's The Il Nana. In '98, PGD was purchased by Seagram, of course, the ginger ale company, and then merged it with MCA. And then that's when it came under the Universal Music Group, and then they purchased the remaining interest from Russell for $100 million. So that's just crazy to me that you started a record label in '84 in somebody's dorm room, and now in 1998, Russell was selling his portion, not even the whole label, just the rest of his interest for $100 million, which is crazy. Then Liar made Kevin Lyles the president in '99. They made the R&B spinoff label Def Soul, which is like Dru Hill, the Isley Brothers, Cisco, Kelly Price, Music, Montel Jordan. Then in '99, Def Jam distributed Murder Inc. And then they started Def Jam South, which signed Ludacris, Chingy, Bobby Valentino. That's when Scarface became the president. Then Jay became the president in 2004, and he signed Neo and Rihanna. And now in 2017, Paul Rosenberg, who is M's brother, was the last president of Def Jam Records. So that's a quick. And
L.A. Reid was also the president at one point too, for a period of time.
Right. Which can show you, like, and one of the things when we talk about like is Def Jam one of our top 5 hip hop labels, just to understand that this label started in '84, and I don't know. I would assume they're still here. I don't even know who, and this is what I mean for younger folk. I don't even know what label an artist is on anymore. You know, so I know what
3.
Okay, it's only 3. Oh, yeah, you know, so in 2017, they were still here. So to go from 1984 to 2017 is a long ass run. You're under different presidents, you're under different distribution, you know what I mean? So it's a long run. But tell me this, Porsche, who are your top 5 favorite artists that have been on Def Jam throughout the entire run?
Public Enemy. I don't know. They're not an artist or a group, but I'm gonna.
No. And I mean, and give us a little background, like why PE? Why?
Oh, I mean, It Takes a Nation of Millions is like like one of the best albums ever across music, not just in rap and hip hop, but across music. Important for just the world, I guess, like just the society in general. So it's really Public Enemy because of It Takes a Nation. That's what sealed it for me. LL Cool J. I mean, LL has been, ever since I was a kid and listening to rap, LL's sort of been part of me and my rap like life, or I guess like listening. So LL's definitely up there. Method Man easily, because that was my very first like rap crush that I had. If I had a crush on a rapper, it was Method Man. So Method Man, Jay-Z, and Foxy Brown. Okay. And I mean, I've got a ton. Like Def Jam, the thing with Def Jam is, and the reason why it's such a dope label is because at one point in time, it had all of anyone who was anyone and doing anything really great was coming off of Def Jam. And it's not to say that other labels didn't have, you know, exceptional artists in their prime, but Def Jam seemed to have like the roster that could sort of do anything. They were everywhere. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't end there. Like Redman, DMX, like, yeah, they had everybody at one point. So those are mine.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Gage?
First, I have to go with LL because honestly, he was the first person to set it off on Def Jam outside of the Beastie Boys. But you know, I liked LL because of the raw raps, and he was the man back then. The second artist is DMX. When DMX went platinum twice in 1 year,
Yeah, which was crazy. Which was crazy.
Crazy.
And this is when CDs was $18.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, a dude went multi-platinum twice in 1 year. The third artist has to be, I would say, Jay-Z and EPMD. That EPMD, I think, the crossover single, was that the
Yeah.
first? Was that the first song on Def Jam from EPMD?
Nah, it was the first. Their third album
Yeah.
was the first joint, the Business as Usual. So it would have been.
What was the single off of that?
This was Gold Digger.
Gold Digger. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. That CD got so much burn, man.
Yeah. All right, no doubt. What about you, right?
So for me, it's LL, of course. I mean, without LL, I don't think Def Jam we would be talking about Def Jam. He wrote that label on his back. I would be surprised if he doesn't have shares or a portion of that label in his portfolio. So of course I'm going with he should. He damn sure should. I'm going with L. I'm gonna go with Public Enemy. Kill, you say it all the time. That's top 5 albums in hip hop history for me. That whole Nations and Millions. EPMD. Redman, of course, because I'm from Jersey, so I gotta rep Redman. I think Redman did a fabulous job on that label. And I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in there, man. I'm going with Onyx, man. I was a huge Onyx fan. Love those guys. So I'm going with Onyx, man. I like what they was able to do on Def Jam.
Yeah, no doubt. And for me, Public Enemy, I mean, it takes, like everybody said, for me, It Takes a Nation is probably maybe my favorite album ever of any genre. You know what I mean? Again, just my favorite. I don't need people getting at me. What about Prince, Purple Rain? What about Michael Jackson's Bad? I'm just saying, for me personally, it's probably my personal favorite album of any genre of music. Public Enemy, Stack Selector said this once. He said, if hip hop didn't save your life, then you probably don't love it as much as he does. And I know for me, Public Enemy saved my life. I've said this a million times up here. Chuck actually retweeted it one time, which was incredible, of how, I didn't sell drugs because of Public Enemy, because I loved hip hop so much that it was like, I can't listen to Night of Living Bassheads and play Public Enemy and Bring the Noise and Don't Believe the Hype and then go out here and sell crack. Like I can't do it. You know what I mean? And if Public Enemy didn't exist, I mean, you think about those small little things like that. Like if I notice, if I sold crack, I'm not with y'all right now. I don't know. I don't know if I get arrested. I don't know if I get shot. I don't know if I go to Morgan. I don't know if I meet my wife. I don't know if I have Naomi. Like, you think of something like, and this is why, like, when people when people, and we talked about this portion with the show, Can You Outgrow Hip Hop, that you talked about. It's like, I can't outgrow something that saved my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I just can't, so that for me is so huge. So Public Enemy is definitely number one, just like everybody else. LL Cool J, I mean, I can't live without my radio. This album right here was like, it to me. I went to private school from kindergarten to 8th grade. So, I mean, cats loved hip hop. It was an all black private school, but I was always the most hip hop person there. You know what I mean? And I felt like that song like spoke my language. And the funny thing is I was always getting bad grades. I always was getting in trouble for something. So my mom's understood, Kill ain't about going outside. Kill's about his music. So his punishment is always going to be taking away his music. So the whole concept of I can't live without my radio, it was literally like the soundtrack to my life from 5th grade on, because moms knew, okay, you acting stupid, okay, no 2 turntables, or we taking away your radio. So that I can't live without my radio was huge for me. And then on top of that, just the back cover, to zoom in, like the Jordans, like when he had on the Jordan 1s, it was like, yo, I don't know who this dude is, but he's dope. After that, I got to go with the Beastie Boys, man. This album right here, License to Ill, crazy album. Yo, it's funny because I did a beat video the other day, like breaking down how I made this beat, and I had the levies in it, and somebody was asking me about that break, saying like, yo, Jake One had used that for the MOP joint on his album White Van Music, and I was like, yo, the levies break go all the way back to this album. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't think somebody just started using the levies in the 2000s. Like, the levies goes all the way back to, what is this, 86? And if it came out in 86, it probably was recorded in 85. So
look, man,
what's that?
These kids will have you think Rick James Super Freak came out 5 years ago.
Right, exactly. And then my last two, I gotta go with Redman. You know, Redman. When I heard what the album, it was, yeah, man. What the album, man. That's freshman year.
That album was crazy, man.
In '92,
crazy.
And it was just like, yo, you put that on with Time for Some Action and Tonight's the Night, and I mean, oh my God, that album was just, and the way that he was rhyming, you know, blow your mind. I'll never forget, man. My man Walt, my OG, my old head who lived across the street, he was messing with this shorty. I want to say her name is Karen Mayo. She used to work at the Source, and this is 90, 91. So
you blowing up spots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he said, and Das had just come out, and he was like, he was like, yo, Kill Man, the Hit Squad got this new dude named Redman coming out. And I was like, Redman, like, yo, this name sounds stupid. But like, what you talking about? I was like, but is he better than Das Effects? And he looked at me like, nigga, is he better than Das Effects? Because at that time, Das Effects just dropped new on effects, and Das was incredible. But when I heard it, it was just, I probably heard him on the first time on this album, on the EPMD album.
Yeah, he was on that joint.
On the Rocket Rough Rhymes, and I was just like,
do a whole verse like that.
Yo, I was like, yo, this dude Redman is crazy. And I'm gonna end it with Jay-Z. You know what I mean? I know folks swear. This is why I know folk don't read. You know, because I can literally say, yo, I'm not hyped for Jay Electronica's album, and niggas here, you don't like Jay Electronica. Why don't you like Jay Electronica? I never said I did. I just said I'm not hyped for his album. And I'm not hyped for his album, not based off of anything Jay Electronica. It's all about the beats. This has nothing to do with, do I think Jay Electronica can still rhyme, or is he going to come with it? I don't have any problem believing Jay is going to come with it. It's the beats. And then when I heard Young Guru was doing it, it's like, okay, sure. But so for me, Jay-Z, definitely one, he's my number 2 dopest MC ever. You know what I mean? So, just, got to go with that. Now, let me ask you this, because, Rec, you brought it up. Krush Groove. You know what I mean? Dropped in 86, if I'm not mistaken. And again, a movie that like basically changed my life. From seeing that movie, I was like, yo, I want to own a record label. You know what I mean? I remember I had a thing in my mom's room that said Cold Crush Records. Like, I had no originality at all as a child. Like, literally, like none. Like, if we were going to start a rap group, I remember being like, okay, they got Houdini. I was like, Mom, what's another good magician name to use? Like, I had no creativity. It literally was like, oh, they got Houdini. He was a magician. Give me a magician. It was Krush Groove Records. I got Cold Crush Records. Like, literally, it's Cool Rock Ski. It was Kill Rock Ski. Like, I literally bit anything that could come around me. I had no idea of any originality in hip hop whatsoever. But Krush Groove comes out, dope movie. You got Blair Underwood. I want to say that's probably like his breakout role. I don't know if I'm sure that's the first time I ever saw Blair Underwood. You got Sheila E. You got new additions in the movie. Everybody's in the movie. The infamous LL Cool J box scene. Krush Groove, Porsche. What did you think of the movie? Like, do you remember the first time you saw it? Did you catch it later in life? How was Krush Groove for you?
I never had access to Krush Groove, and I've been searching for it
I will
forever.
Send it tonight. I will send it.
Please do.
I will
put it in the Dropbox for you tonight.
Yes, please do. I know I've told you guys I immigrated to Canada when I was very young, and we moved. The only place I was taking immigrants at the time was the smack dab in the middle of Canada, right above North Dakota. So I had zero access. It was very, very difficult for me to get anything hip hop related. So I never had access to that. And then everything sort of, kind of gets lost along the way. And then when you go back to it, like, where do you find it? So I never had the luxury that you guys had of having these things accessible to me. So I've never seen it.
Here's the thing, Porsche, and I'm gonna send it to you tonight. But the other thing that I love about doing the show is because we're bringing different people from different places. You know what I mean? And I think it's amazing that you have the hip hop knowledge that you have, and then I hear your background. You know what I mean? So it's not like, when you say things like that's bugged to me. Or even when we were doing the hip hop fashion show, and you were talking about how, in Vancouver, it wasn't like how you could just go you had 10 sneaker stores on Ogans Avenue or on 52nd Street or whatever like that, so it's just a salute to you for you to have this much hip hop knowledge.
But But again, it's also a testament to hip hop because it penetrates borders, it penetrates, cultures, it penetrates all of that kind of stuff, and that's really a testament to all the pioneers, all the fans, all the people that keep it moving all the time. So I mean, it's a thank you right back. So yeah.
All right, no doubt. Gadge, what about you? Krush Groove. First memories, would you think of it?
I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I never liked Krush Groove.
What? You ain't like it?
Hold on. I watched Krush Groove for the performances, the whole love story between Sheila E. and my man, what's his name?
Blair Underwood.
Yeah, the guy who beats women in every movie. Like,
oh man,
yo, I think he sounds Akasha. Yo, am I beating somebody? Yeah, sound right here.
Oh my God, man.
Yo, every movie, B.
The Tyler Perry stands will come after you, Gadget. You better chill.
Yo, this dude just says it's in the contract for me to beat a woman. Like, nah, I don't want it.
Coming
Yo,
for you, Gadget.
that nigga told his agent, yo, if I ain't whooping no girl's ass in this movie, don't even send me the script.
Hey, and remember, this was before the Me Too, so he can't.
Right.
But no, I wasn't with the whole Sheila E. love story. I like the Fat Boys and LL. Like I liked it for the performances, but the story I could have did without.
Nah, I feel you. What about you, Rat?
That was one of my first movies that I remember watching as a young kid. Man, I was 7 when I came to America for the first time that I can remember. And that was one of the first movies my uncles put me up on, man. So I love that movie. I grew up on it. That, Breaking, not the sidetrack, but I watched those early movies, and I love it. I like it. I still watch it to this day. If it's on TV, I'm watching it. If I feel like pulling it out the archives, I'm gonna watch it. I love the Fat Boys interaction with it. I kind of wish they would have gotten some more play overall. They don't get talked about enough, but the movie was super dope for the time period. For what you figure, if that label came out, what you say, 83? It was
86.
86.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about this. It's a brand new label, and they were able to make a movie about the label.
Right.
That is a hip hop staple of a movie. Dope movie, in my opinion. I love it. I watch it to this day, man. I'm with you though, Gadget. I think Blair Underwood need to change up, get a new agent or something.
The wild part is I never realized this dude, but now that you say it, now I'm like, oh shit, this dude really do be whooping ass.
He does.
Hey,
that's crazy.
Another crazy thing about Krush Groove, the Fat Boys were never on Def Jam.
No, they weren't. Neither was New Edition.
Right.
They were on Sutra.
Yeah.
But that shows you the pull that they had too to make those kind of movies, to make us, if you weren't educated or you didn't know, you would think that they were associated with Def Jam or a Rush associated label or something, but they weren't.
Right. I think the thing with the Fat Boys, I think at that time, because we're 86, and again, I'm always looking at it dropped in 86, so it's probably being shot in 85, and there really weren't that many groups. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really only had Run DMC, the Fat Boys, and Houdini. Curtis Blow being in that movie was kind of like the tail end of his. No, it ain't even the tail end. That was the end of his career with If I Ruled the World. Gadge, you've enlightened me on a whole nother level. I think when I was 12, I didn't even care about a storyline. I didn't even realize there was a love story. I just saw rappers on the screen and the movies, and I could see this. And it's funny because if y'all remember this movie called The Brothers, if it was like Morris Chestnut,
Shamar Moore,
right. And the funny thing was, me and T went to see it with my mom. So we leave the movie, and I was like, yo, how many mics y'all get? Me and T was like, yo, that shit was trash. We give it 2. My mom was like 5. I was like, yo, you gave that 5 mics? She was like, yo, anytime there's a movie with more than 5 black people in it, he gets 5 mics. Because in her era, she was like, look, I'm coming from the 60s where you don't see black people on the screen. She's like, I don't care about no storyline. I don't care about the acting. If black actors are working, he gets 5 mics. And I think that was my attitude with Krush Groove. It's like I didn't pay no attention to the love scenes. I didn't pay no attention to Blair Underwood's horrible acting. It was just like, yo, there are rappers on the big screen, and I'm eating popcorn in the movie theaters, looking at the people I idolize. So so many dope parts, like you said, the Fat Boys, just even being in the stairwell at school with the Don't You Dog. Same thing like you said, Gaz, the performances, the Don't You Dog Me. I I used to stay in Brooklyn in the summers. I would beg my aunt to take me to the Sbarro's on 42nd Street where they shot All You Can Eat. It was like, yo, I'd be watching movies like, okay, they sat in that booth, like, yo, we sitting in this booth over here with Buffy. You know, like it literally was like, and then the LL scene, the whole box and the, you know, so I love the movie just, you know, for the simple fact, like I said, just being able to see so many rappers on it. And Dad, you brought up the Fat Boys, and my man schooled me to this because when in Rec, you was talking about the Fat Boys not getting enough love. And I think the problem was the Fat Boys were like hip hop's first guinea pig. Yeah. Like they were the first, they're kind of silly enough that we can mold them. And then came Disorderlies, and then came, you know, so my man says it best, like this here is actually a Disco 3 album. And for people watching, the Disco 3 was the Fat Boys' first name. In fact, you probably can't even see it, but on the back of Marky D's jacket, you can see Disco 3. Like this was like a Disco 3 made album. And then it was like, we need a bigger name for you. And then they came up with the Fat Boys, you know, and then after that, it's like you get to be Disorderlies, then you get Big and Beautiful. Now you're doing, you know, fucking Weird Al Yankovic shit with the twist with Chubby Checker. Right. You know,
crazy that you brought that up.
But I'm just saying, like, this is where labels were looking at it like, okay, we could maybe do something with these fat guys. Cause you know, then we, you know, Disorderly is just a horrible. That's like one of the movies. I don't care how many times come on, I ain't watching that shit. Like it was just horrible. Like, so that's that with that. Tell me this, y'all. Huh?
Hey, hold on before you move on. I just wiki Blair Underwood. Crush Groove was his first movie.
Wow. Yeah. I was gonna say he probably may have been doing some small things in there, but Crush Groove was definitely his first movie. Like you said, right? Just the fact that label started in '84 and could get a movie done about them in '86 is crazy. You think about Death Row should have a movie. You know what I mean? You know, Bad Boy should have a movie. So the fact that they was able to, you know, do this and you know, for a lot of it to kind of be kind of close to home, you know, the same thing with the Fat Boys, you know, they didn't win the contest. They won the stereo system, but then Curtis Blow was the one who started managing them and got them, you know, the deal and everything like that. Was just crazy to me. So again, that was dope. Tell me this, y'all, top 5 releases from Def Jam. Porsche, what you got?
Ooh, It Takes a Nation of Millions, first and foremost. Radio, Great Adventures of Slick Rick. I don't talk about this album enough as much as I should. I actually really love that album, and I don't mention it on my top list. I don't mention it, you know, as much. Seriously, I don't mention it as much as I should. I love Slick Rick. He has such a great cadence and such a great way of sort of telling stories in like sort of a funny way, even though he's not saying anything funny. And so he's quite a personality. So I have to say that one. Il Nana, I love. Foxy is just one of my favorites as well. And I love that album. I didn't like much after that album. I don't think they were as good, but Il Nana definitely. I have so many. Onyx's album. Both of them, actually. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to swear.
Back fuck up.
Yes. You know, I just listened to Onyx's newest release, and they've come such a long way since the beginning and such a different way. So it made me appreciate, like, very newfound appreciation for that album. And All We Got Is Us, more so than ever before.
Right.
Yeah, it was dope. And Redman's joints. Honestly, his first 3 are amazing. They're on my top list as well. Blackout with Method Man is a dope one. I mean, I could be here all day, so I'll just leave it at that. But those are some heavy hitters off of Def Jam.
All right, tell me this. I'm gonna put you all on the spot. Favorite song off It Takes a Nation.
Ooh.
Well, just for Porsche. Like, I mean, unless that's on yours too, you know. But for Porsche, favorite song off It Takes a Nation.
Night of the Living Bassheads.
Okay.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I really like all the songs on that album. It's interchangeable. But Night of the Living Bassheads, it sticks out. I like the title. That's an attention grabber for me. Like, they just sort of, it's like a play on words, and so it kind of pops and it's memorable, and I just love the song. So that one.
All right. Favorite
I'm
joint.
good. I'm good with that.
Favorite joint off of The Great Adventures.
Ooh.
Treat her like a prostitute.
I would say,
That's mine.
which one? Gadget with what?
Yo,
That's the name of the song.
Gadget real
Don't
form
treat the
tonight.
girl we well, because she ain't scored at school.
Yo, Gadget is in rare form tonight. He talking about Blair Underwood.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh,
baby.
Gadget's on one. He hasn't been here for a while. He's making up for lost time.
Exactly.
Yo, this dude going in.
Oh,
Slick
man.
Rick, my favorite Slick Rick joint ever is Lottie Dottie.
Okay,
I
but
love
I mean, but I'm
That
pushing because that's not on this. So.
No, I know. Ooh, I would say Children's Story is on there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Children's Story would be
Alright.
my second. So that one.
All right, no doubt. Gad, what you got for your top 5 releases? And if you got 12 inches too, or anything,
Yeah.
just your favorite releases.
In no particular order, you have to put Kanye West's first album on there.
Hmm.
What? You do?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, Kanye West's first album was very, very instrumental for Def Jam.
One night.
Yo,
Need some more
I don't
liquor.
know between. Yo, I'm glad this ain't Drink Champs, and y'all two at the bottom in rare form tonight, man. Yo,
Listen, that was so left. Like, that's so many good releases.
But the-
That was the last thing I ever expected anyone on this panel to say. We got to put Kanye on there.
I want to rewind the tape back. The way Portia's like, do we really?
Right.
Yo. All right.
For the time that came out, that was an amazing
Yeah,
album.
it was.
It is. I just
Yeah.
I ain't mad at that at all. I ain't mad at you.
And surprisingly, because the next artist, because I love the story so much on how we got to Def Jam,
Right.
is what's his name? Dre's brother.
Warren G.
Warren G. Did you hear the story on how he got signed to Def Jam?
Nah, what's the story?
Yeah.
They flew him to New York to hang out with LL, and LL was supposed to convince him to sign to Def Jam because at the time they didn't have Def Jam West, and Def Jam was going through a decline. So I don't know who put them on to Warren G, but he ended up hanging out with LL, and that's how he got signed.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So
That's
I
West Coast shit.
Yeah, that Warren G album was I was in the military then, and Warren G album, like I played that shit every day.
Yeah. That was a dope album.
Yeah.
on that.
The third,
Good album.
the third one I have to go with R&B with Music Soul Child's first album.
Okay.
That was monumental for Def Soul, even though Cisco but that first Music Soul Child album was incredibly dope.
Yeah.
And I have my fourth album. I have to go with LL Radio.
Okay. Yo, it's funny that you said music. I actually made a music mixtape. Here's the thing: I've never been a big music fan, but he had some good songs. Like that's what I could say about music is he has some really good songs. So I made a mixtape, and reckon Gad, y'all will get this. I call it Ishkabibbles. Now, for people who don't know, Ishkabibbles is a cheese steak spot on South Street.
Yes.
But it's not one of my favorites. So if you kind of get the little shot I'm taking, it's okay, but it's not one of my favorites. So I call my best of music mixtape Ishkabibbles.
But out of all the R&B guys, he has the best.
He was definitely
but he has the best 4-album run in R&B out of R&B guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, again, I think when music first dropped, I felt like he was just biting D'Angelo. Like when I first heard Just Sunny, what's the shit?
Mm-hmm.
Just Friends, Sunny. And I remember even Quest not being a real big fan of that because he sings over Next Movement. You know what I mean? Right. So I remember Quest not being a big fan of that. But I guess throughout time in Philly and music started to blow up or whatever. But Like, but I mean, I love the stuff. Like, you can't deny. That's why I could make a best of music. It's mainly his slow jams. Like, he has some really good songs. Like I said, I don't think but he has some really. And I was talking about that earlier about I would take a good MC who makes great songs over a great MC who makes subpar songs. But that's just me. You know what I mean? And I was talking about singers like you got Jennifer Hudson, incredible singer, cannot make a good song to save her life. You know, and then you may have a singer that's just okay, like Alicia Keys, but I feel like Alicia makes some really great songs. And I feel like that way about music. Not a great singer, but I can't deny that he has some huge, really good songs, you know. So definitely music is definitely definitely a good pick for you. Rack, what you got?
So I'm going with Public Enemy. It's a nation. I think when I think about like hip hop, when I first really started getting to it, first song that I can remember hearing is like an 8-9-year-old. Actually, when that come out, 87?
87, yeah.
I was 9. So I was really starting to understand what hip hop was. And that Terminator X, man.
You talking about Rebel Without a Pause?
Terminator X.
Yo,
whatever that shit is called.
Bring that beat
I call it
yeah.
Terminator X.
That summer, that's all every car.
And that's how I heard it. I was in between my mother had just remarried and moved to Jersey, but because I was in school, my mother left me in Queens. And you know, you outside, you at the park.
Right.
That's all you would hear. Yeah. You know, and I asked my uncles, what is that song? And my uncle, my hip hop head uncle, took me upstairs and was like, it's this. And I was just like, I was floored. And that was the first time I think I understood what hip hop was or how it can make you feel. You know, you're 9 years old, you don't quite understand music and how it works. But that was the first time I could actually remember, like, yo, this shit, I like this. Whatever this is, I like it. And I want to be a part of this some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. So that album.
You ever seen them live? You ever seen Public Enemy live?
No, man, I have not. I live in an area, and Houston is a big city, but for some reason they don't get a lot of major acts. They do bypass this place sometimes. They'll go to Dallas or they just won't come to the region. But I have not, man. I have not, and that's on my bucket list. That's on my bucket list.
They are must see in concert.
Say less. Yeah. That's on my bucket list. So that album, go ahead, Ken.
No, I was gonna say, and the crazy thing is, like, this is why I love my mom so much. Like, she took me to the Fresh Fest in '84. I don't know how a 10-year-old convinced their mother to take them to a concert at the Spectrum in Philly in '84. When, you know, you talk about they tried to do it in '88, like all the fights that will break out. Yeah. You talk about fights. You talking about the '80s now. You know, you talking about Reagan crack just popping off. So for her to drag me, but yeah, I'm dead ass. Like Reagan crack is just popping off. Like, you don't know what the hell is going on. By '88, you know the crack.
That's regular crack.
Hey, Reagan, that first package, man. By '88, you knew what a crackhead looked like. In '84, you like, yo, what the fuck?
What the fuck is this?
You didn't know what was coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, so, I came to Queens from Germany, and there weren't crackheads in Germany.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
There was crackheads in Far Rockaway, Queens. Yeah. And I didn't know what the fuck that. I was lost.
Yeah, in '84. But I saw Public Enemy in '86. So to be able to see them during, or '87, to be able to see them during that era of It Takes a Nation, it dropping was incredible. Seeing the S1Ws with the guns. And I mean, you're talking about a younger Chuck D, because Chuck was still like 28 when we were like 14. Yeah, seeing him jump off of speakers and Flav and just the whole show was amazing, man. So definitely. So dope pick. What else you got, Rack?
So I got Redman's What the Album. Mm-hmm. My homeboy, one of my best friends, 30 plus years, man. This dude is light skinned. He grew his hair out in an afro and he used to walk to school with tissue in his fucking nose. Hey, we laughing, but that's the
influence. That's the influence. That's the
that Redman had. You got to think, we're in Jersey. There's no hip hop from Jersey like that, right? Mm-hmm. PRT's not out yet. Queen Latifah is still bubbling, but he put a stamp on Jersey that no other artist did.
Right.
And for him to come out with that quality of an album, to where, like, if you didn't know he was down with EPMD and them, you wouldn't have known. He was
Yeah.
he's a standalone artist. He just happened to have a stamp.
Right.
That album, phenomenal album. My next album, I'm going with DMX's debut album. Even though it wasn't a Def Jam pushed album, he was still on the label. Dude, I wasn't a DMX fan early. I was late to the game. I went to the Greek, but the Greek on Sunday. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Gaz and Kill. Sunday, they go down to Asbury Park. Bikers, we roll out there, and they do a concert on the beach. If you watch The Sopranos, where they used to do all of the scenes on the beach, that's Asbury Park. On that boardwalk, they would go to the end, put a stage there. Def Jam came there in '98. Redman's performing, and I'm like, bet, I'm in heaven. I got 2 Heineken bottles. I'm double fisted. I'm having a ball. Right? DMX comes on the stage, and he's out the gate. Put your motherfucking X's up, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? and I realize who it is, and I'm like, damn, I don't like this guy.
He said, I don't even like him.
Dog. He started to show off. He started to show off with the Rough Riders anthem.
Oh, dope.
Now, like I said, I don't know. I ain't checking for this guy. Man, I'm the only person out of probably 5,000 to 10,000 motherfuckers on this boardwalk that don't know these fucking words. Craziest part is I got a female on my shoulders because I'm 6'5", so she can't see. So I'm like, fuck it, get on up here. By the time the song is over,
you the nigga carried around KC from Jodeci through the crowd with people on your back.
Eating chicken.
But it was a young lady.
Yeah, no disrespect.
In my single days, I was that guy.
Yeah, I understand.
I got 2 Heinekens in my hand. By the end of that song, he did it twice. I knew every word that I could at least remember. That album, when I went back and did the math on it, I was like, yeah, this guy's dope.
You know what's so funny? You know what's so funny about this story, right? That sounds like my Joe Budden story. You know, of how I was at the spot, and I'm lost. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, because
that's told this story on the last show,
right,
and on the What If show,
right,
and it just 30. Yeah.
Right, and it just shows you how a live performance
change your whole shit.
You know, can change your whole shit. Because here's the wild part, and I'm gonna get everything thrown at me. I've never heard a DMX album. I've never listened to one.
That's okay.
I've never, because when he dropped with "Get at Me, Dog."
Are you talking now?
I've never heard the DMX album.
He's never heard a DMX album.
I've never heard a DMX album.
Wow.
When I heard "Get at Me, Dog," I was like, these motherfuckers just gonna use the old EPMD beat, and that threw me off, and I was like, I'm not with it. Then this nigga is barking like a dog. I'm like, fuck it. I'm totally okay with missing the boat on this shit. Now, I will tell you this. I did fuck with that joint he had about the girls.
Yes.
What was the name of it? He had the video for it. He on 120.
Faith is on the hook.
Yeah, Faith is on the hook. I did mess with that. So I've heard DMX song. Huh?
They took her off of the hook on later versions.
They did.
So I had, before people blocked me and unfollowed, I have heard DMX songs. Yep. I just never heard a whole album. But what I'm saying is that's a testament of how when you see somebody live, that's how I was when my niggas who I was with was like, yo, we can't wait to see Joe Budden. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers hype to see Joe Budden? Like, what's wrong with y'all? And then you leave and you're like, what the fuck did I miss out? Like, what did I?
That's how I felt.
So that's dope.
I got back on my bike. I rode down 95, not 85, not 95, but what's the joint go across? I think it's 75. I rode back to Willingboro and I was like, yo, I need to cop that album.
Yeah.
I copped it the next day. Another album, Back the Fuck Up. Freshman in high school, I'm hooping, I'm playing AAU, and we traveling the country. Dog, that album has so much influence on us, man. My whole team, white boys included, cut their motherfucking hair.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Of course, you're laughing, but it's a sight to see. A group of 15-year-olds in the tunnel before we come out to a game. We gonna bust that ass. We about to bust. Just getting hyped for the game. That was hype music. That was fight music. Mm-hmm. And for a 15-year-old trying to find themselves and playing basketball, that was all I needed. That album was a catapult for me.
Yo, Onyx had everybody cutting their hair. Run DMC cut their hair. The youngsters cut their hair. Everybody was born.
And then to hear it, if you were on Jamaica Avenue at that time.
Oh, I'm sure in Queens it was crazy.
I heard it the winter of 92, 2. I didn't know what it was. My mother took me out to Jamaica Ave to go Christmas shopping. And all you hear is take him up, bring him up, dead. Shot. And when you come out onto Jamaica Avenue, the Coliseum is across the street. When you go into the parking garage, you walking up towards Jamaica Ave. Gad's laughing because he know when you hit Jamaica Avenue, all of the bootleggers would be right there, and they would have their speakers out, and that shit was playing from one block to the next. And I begged my mother, like, yo, I don't know what that is, but I need that. And all she hears is all these curses, and she like, I'm not buying that.
Right.
That album, man, long but phenomenal. Yeah. Last album I'm gonna go with from a Def Jam artist. I'm gonna go with EPMD's album on Def Jam. I forget the name of it. Might have been the one you said with
third joint, the business.
Yes.
Business as usual.
That was Gold Digger, right?
Yeah,
that's Gold Digger. That's the joint with LL. That joint.
You could tell there was some money behind the machine at that point in time because the videos was a little bit nicer. You know what I'm saying? They had.
Well, you go from Sleeping Bag to Def Jam. Yeah, the money definitely gonna be. Definitely gonna be nice.
That album, man. I'm just glad that I'm part of something like this, to where we can teach the youth who weren't there, because those are pivotal points in my life. Like, people ask me to break down songs, albums. I just go back to that time period in my life, and these guys and gals don't have that, at least to where we were. The artists now, it's the same, but there's something to be said when you see somebody with a Def Jam jacket, or you knew it was a Def Jam artist, you knew what you was getting.
Yeah.
And when you talk about influence, like Redman, he put Philly Blunts on his back.
Oh yeah.
Surprised he didn't get a check from that.
Yeah.
Everybody that smoked listened to Redman.
Yep. And again, it goes back to the influence, because, even being from uptown in Philly, niggas smoke. But when I got the Morgan in '92 and the Chronic had just dropped the year before, and then Redman dropped, everybody was smoking weed. Everybody was smoking weed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And Red was a huge part of that. The Chronic may have set it off, but Red just Red just brought it to all fruition. For me, again, it takes a nation. The funny thing with Public Enemy is I remember, Rec, just like you said, that whole summer. Rec. Terminator X. I thought that was the name of the song. I run out and buy this. I run out and buy their first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Yeah.
Good album.
Not on there.
It was good. But if you could have seen me when I'm going through each song and I'm like, where the fuck is the Terminator X song? And it wasn't on here. I was like, yo, you have got to be kidding me. And it made me not like this album. So I had to go back a couple of years later and re-listen to it, because this literally got thrown to the side when it didn't happen. For people, and it's one of my favorite 12 inches, You're Gonna Get Yours 12-inch is actually the 12-inch that had Rebel Without a Pause on the B-side. And again, I didn't know the name of the song, so I didn't even know what to look for. So I didn't even know in buying the 12-inch that I was going to get it. So again, if you could have seen the surprise on my face when I put the needle down and heard, Terminator X or Rebel Without a Pause, it was crazy. No, not that, not Terminator X to the Edge of Planet. That's what you're thinking about. Yes. I'm talking about the rhythm, the rebel.
Yes. Okay. I'm talking about
that was on the 12-inch.
On the CD, does it start with the live show, then going into the Terminator?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, I know it starts with the dun. It may be a part of the live show in there, but I know what Rec is talking about, because that's the Terminator Edge to the Edge of Panic, which used the same break that Ultra Mag used on their album.
Okay.
So that I know what you're talking about, but that's funny that they're both Terminator X with them loud screeches, because that's what always got me.
That's what hooked me.
Yeah, with PE. But for people who've never heard Yo Bum Rush Show, good album, check it out. Another
Good
one of my
album, but
albums.
not like It Takes a Nation.
Yeah.
It's very because I
It's
have
very
to say
different.
that
It's very
super
different.
different, and I have to say that because every time I like forget Yo Bum Rush's Show is an album, is their debut album. I'm like, no, it Takes a Nation, and then I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's actually not their first album, but it's their best album and the most memorable album. So
Right.
yeah,
Was that a Bomb Squad produced album? That first one?
It
so.
says rhythm. Hold on, management. It's got the management. Hold on, let me look through some of it. Again, boys and girls liner notes. I know nobody knows about these anymore, but let me look through these liner notes. You know what the problem is, Gadge? I need glasses and I refuse to get them, so I have to take pictures of shit on my phone to blow them up.
Thanks, man.
I'm dead ass, man. I gotta get my phone to take a picture. So
It is Bomb Squad.
I'm just
it is
Bomb
Squad, and it's executive produced by Rick Rubin.
All right, cool. Because this is how crazy I'll be sometimes looking at liner notes. I'll be like this, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not on the phone. I'm on paper. And this doesn't work on paper. So, yeah.
My God.
Yeah. So, but I think one of the things too, and Gad, you can attest this, and you too, Rec, as a producer. I think the Bomb Squad found their sound with It Takes a Nation. You know what I mean? So they started with this, but then they found their sound. They found their niche. With the second album. But like Porsche said, this is not It Takes a Nation. There's not a lot of it's not this, but great songs. You're gonna get yours. My Uzi Weighs a Ton, Time Bomb, Right Starter, Public Enemy #1. To me, is one of the dopest songs.
Yes, it is.
Yo Go Bum Rush. So still a dope album, but I'm still, of course, going with It Takes a Nation. Probably my favorite song on here is probably Black Still in the Hour of Chaos. Like that piano break. Just had me hypnotized, that Isaac Hayes break. And then one thing that people don't talk enough about Public Enemy, their videos. The video for Night Living Bassheads, to me, is top 5. It may be my #1 rap video ever. The way they turned that into, having MC Light going up in the crack house, and they had the dude, the mayor, who used to be on Rap City in there, and just everything about this album. And Black Still in the Hour of Chaos was another dope video that they did. Radio, again, crazy. License to Ill, the Beastie Boys. For people who don't know, there was a time when they were wearing these like medallions with Volkswagens on it, like the Volkswagen logo. And me and my crew were trying to steal. We would for people who don't know, like you get a Nissan now and you can't take the emblem off, or you can't take the emblem off of it. We would with Cadillacs, you could pull the thing up on the top of the hood.
Benzos, two E-Class Benzes had them too.
You could pull them up, and we would try to rip those off and put them on our stopwatches, and all because of the Beastie Boys. Favorite song on here is Paul Revere. Paul Revere just you play that to this day, and it's crazy. I'm with you, Porsche. The Great Adventures of Slick Rick that I have around here somewhere. Yeah. This joint, crazy. Favorite song off this, Easy, The Moment I Fear. I think that's just, I know people go with Children's Story when he talks about stories. The Moment I Fear was my favorite Slick Rick. And
y'all laughed at me about Treat Her Like a Prostitute?
No. I wasn't laughing at you like a prostitute. It was your comedic timing. Like your timing was perfect for Porsche to be like, I don't know what I like. You like Treat Her Like a Prostitute. Like somebody not watching is not gonna know that was a Slick Rick song.
Right.
So
they're gonna think that you coming that
timing of it. Right.
Yeah.
The timing of it.
Slick Rick gets raped in that song. He does.
No, I know. I know.
And Slick Rick was before his time and very masculine for even putting that in a fucking song.
Right. And here's the other thing about Rick with this album. With The Moment I Fear, what I loved that Primo ended up doing was when he scratched Boogie Down is performing and They Ain't No Joke for the BDP joint Out of Here, which is a line from Slick Rick, because he's saying, BDP was performing and They Ain't No Joke, and a whole bunch of Brooklyn kids that just came down my throat. And when you talk about that, guy, you're talking about Slick Rick is rhyming about getting robbed. Like folk didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like in the stories. I mean,
very transparent rapper.
Hey Young World was incredible, and then Teenage Love. Like Teenage Love was a dope video to me. Yes, I was just about to say, for him to have Big Daddy Kane on the train and Kane going like this, like, no, I don't want no, and Rick, like, again, just the ease of hip hop. You know, and we're gonna talk about that eventually in the 80s of just how there was an ease to hip hop, how you could have Dana Dane, Cinderfella Dana Dane, just rapping about Cinderella. You can't do that shit no more. You know, you can't get Dave East to be in a Griselda video and Benny about to kill Dave East and Dave East going like this. Like, the street cred just can't work no more like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you could do it and nobody looked at Kane like, oh, Kane a bitch in that video. No, it was like, that's his man. Like, he's playing a role. Like, nobody thought anything of it like that. Whereas now you can't even do that. Again, What the Album, people don't give E. Sermon enough credit as a producer, I think, period. Yeah. But definitely not enough credit for this album. And my 12 inches, Jack the Ripper, LL Cool J was the Going Back to Cali 12-inch, and Jack the Ripper was on side B, which was strange to me because in buying the album, I hated Going Back to Cali. The first time I heard that, I was like, yo, what the fuck is that? I don't know what style this is. I don't know what L is doing. But to have the B-side with Jack the Ripper was crazy. Of course, I talked about You're Gonna Get Yours. It's Yours, T. La Rock. Like I said, one of my favorite songs to this day. And the other 12-inch I loved was off the Less Than Zero soundtrack. And it was a joint by the Black Flames called Are You My Woman?
Oh
and
my
the B-side was Bring the Noise. Here's the worst part, Gash. I don't think I've ever even heard the Black Flames song Are You My Woman? I just saw Public Enemy, Bring the Noise, and I brought that. I honestly don't think so. And if I did listen to it, I don't even remember what it sounds like. But for folk out there, Google the Black Flames, Are You My Woman? And the thing that I love Subways. People know me, I love Subways. So the bottom part of the 12-inch has Public Enemy coming out of a 6 train station, like posing on the steps like that. And I was just like, yo, I'm buying this. And like I said, I don't even know what the A-side sounds like. I don't even know who the hell the Black Flames are, were, whatever. I may work with a Black Flame for all I know. And I don't know who that group was. But tell me this, hip-hop labels, Def Jam, are they in your top 5 dopest hip-hop labels ever? And if they are, if you can pick a number, if you don't have a number, but just, do they crack your top 5 hip-hop labels ever, and why? Porsche, what about you?
I think I said it at the beginning. It definitely cracks my top 5. It's probably my number 1 label. And that's just because of, again, I think at the time and for a very long time, probably for a good 10-year stretch from 88, I would say till 98, Def Jam to me had all the powerhouse like rappers on the label, and what they were releasing off that label was just taking over. Like it was undeniable at the time. I mean, it would be a disservice to say that Def Jam isn't, in my opinion, that it isn't a top 5, if not a top 3 label of all time. Amazing. For me personally, Def Jam is what like introduced me to labels in general. I don't know about parent labels or subsidiaries or whatever, but Def Jam for me was what introduced me to the whole concept of the industry and what that meant, because of everything that was everyone was at the time, like we would hear about, oh, Def Jam just signed, and Russell was always on interviews. Like I remember watching Rap City. We had between 12:30 and 1 a.m. in the middle of Canada, we would have 30 minutes of Rap City when no one was awake, but I was allowed to stay awake because that's all I wanted to watch on Much Music. And
that's dope.
Yeah. And Russell Simmons was always on interviews. Like I would see them, and this is where I would kind of gather information. So for me, hearing Russell be like, yeah, and we just signed this artist, we just signed, DMX, we just signed. And that to me was like, wow, Def Jam, like that's what stuck. That's what kind of always was my introduction to that whole industry. So,
all right, no doubt. What about you, Gadget? Top 5?
Oh, definitely. Like, and I was, I'm a 70s baby, so I was listening to hip hop when Sugar Hill Records was out, when Sleeping Bag Records was like Profile, Select, but Cold Chillin', like Def Jam, I wouldn't say they were the blueprint, but they were damn close to being the blueprint for hip hop labels as what they are today, as far as operating.
All right, no doubt. What about you, Rhett?
I agree with Gadget and Porsche. I'm gonna take it a step further though. I think Def Jam is the blueprint for what some other labels that I'm sure we're gonna do on this particular topic. We're going after. You hear certain other CEOs and things like that. They just wanted to do what Russell was doing.
Right.
I think that Def Jam is the label when it comes to what these hip hop labels were trying to do. From a standpoint of hip hop, I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there is another label that was doing that at that time period. Funded out of a damn college dorm. I just don't know if there was. If there is, please tell me so that way I can have my facts right. But I just think that what we knew as whatever our golden era is, I think everyone was trying to do what Def Jam was doing from a standpoint of the label. Maybe not the music, but the label and how it was set up as far as being able to put out, these artists. I think that people were seeing what they doing. Oh yeah, let's do something. Let's just try that. Let's see if it works for us. I just think that they set the standard for what you should be doing as a hip hop label at that time. Things change as far as the music and time, but that's just my opinion.
There are a bunch of LLs after he came out.
Yeah,
right.
You remember Raheem the Dream?
Of course.
Yep. I remember Raheem the Dream. I mean, you got MC Shan all the way down to the Red Kango. You know what I'm saying?
You could even look at what's my guy got the voice, talks like this. Man, he can spit, but you just tell something was off with him, man. What's his name, man?
Yo, who you talking about, man?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I'm trying to remember, man. He was dope. He just talked he rapped real slow. He had a deeper voice.
Tone Loc? What you talking about?
No,
King Son?
Not King Son, man. He was from New York.
He from New York. He talked real slow with a deep voice.
Yeah, he reminded me of Lord Finesse a little bit with his punchlines.
Only other person who reminded me of Lord Finesse is L, and I know you ain't talking about L.
Nah, it'll come to me. I'll put it out.
Oh, you talking about Granddaddy IU?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kills man. That's Kills man right there.
Yo, see, we're not doing that, guys. You know what? No, time out for a second, bro. We're gonna talk about this because I know exactly where you're getting. And this is what I know about Porsche talking about people be snitching too out here in these Twitter streets. Okay. This is what happened. Somebody said something about Granddaddy IU because I was reading that book that I need to get a check for because I swear
we got tagged in this tweet.
We got tagged in this thing about the vinyl, and I said I wasn't a fan of the album.
Okay.
This is where people get things messed up. When Tribe Called, I love hip hop, y'all know that. So it takes a lot for me to say I'm your fan. So I wasn't a fan of Tribe Called Quest on their first album. When I heard Bonita Applebum, I was like, "Yo, shit, cool." I became a fan when Low End. I wasn't a fan of the Roots first album. I became a fan when Illadelph dropped. So, but it's just wild how people then tried to tag Granddaddy IU, like, yo, this nigga wasn't fucking with you. Like, yo, I didn't say I wasn't fucking with him.
And it was all about the producer of that album.
Right,
and it wasn't actually this producer, and it was this and we were like, yo, it's cool. Like
That's why I was just saying I'm not a fan of that album. So I didn't mess with Granddaddy IU.
Right.
That's what Twitter ran with. That's what Twitter ran with. But it's just so ironic because I don't believe in coincidences that you would pull out Granddaddy.
It's damn sure irony because I didn't see the tweet. I ain't really
right. It's funny.
As soon as Kill said Granddaddy IU, I was like, oh man, here we go back to the again. I'll never forget that conversation. Me and Kill were lectured for like literally 50 tweets about how we should have known better that he was not the producer. Or he was the producer, and it was credited to somebody. It was crazy.
Let me put the disclaimer out. This is no ill diss or nothing to Granddaddy IU. I put him in that lane, like Gadget was saying, as far as people who come after L that I could put in the box. You know what I'm saying?
No, but here's what Kill isn't telling you.
See,
Kill got grilled because they said, "Oh, Big Daddy Kane left the label. We got to get another daddy on the label."
Oh, right.
No, but that's true. No, But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I'm done.
That's a true story. This is a true story. Like I'm not. Yo, here's the crazy thing about me.
I'm done.
People. Yo, true story. I wish I had the book up here, but I didn't think I was talking about this book. If you buy the Cold Chillin' book, it talks about how at that time, by the time the 90s came and everybody was on their second album, and it's ironic because me and they have been watching the Wu-Tang series and everything. So the funniest thing about that is because I made her watch the Hulu thing first, and then we watched the Showtime Mics with Men. She doesn't know any of their rap names. So she thinks she calls Ghostface Killer Dennis. She's like, well, where's Dennis? And where's Bobby? And I'm like, who the fuck is Bobby? And I'm like, oh, right, you the RZA. And she's like, no, that's Bobby. Like, that's Dennis. That's, but when you're going past their second albums, like that's the problem with a lot of the people who were on Cold Chillin'. By the time their second albums came around, a lot of them weren't as big. So Kane was done with Cold Chillin' and he wanted to leave. So literally Fly Ty was saying we need to get another dude with the daddy in it. So that's why they said they came up with Rick Daddy. I'm dead ass. Now, here's the thing I love about this book. It's written in interview style. So it's not like somebody's writing it. It's like Fly Ty. So these are Fly Ty's words. And he's saying, through a marketing standpoint, because now we're in the 90s. Now we're looking at marketing. So we lost Big Daddy Kane. So we need to get Granddaddy IU. And Porsche, the nigga who, I don't know, blocked me for whatever reason, was saying, nah, Kill, that's not true. He always had that name. And I'm like, my nigga, all I'm doing is telling you what Fly Ty said.
Yeah. That's all and you did say that. You were like, okay, like, sorry, but this is what it was. Right.
Huh?
Somebody blocked you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know why, but who cares? But here's the thing. And the wild part is while we were watching that Hulu thing about Wu-Tang and she was looking at the Genius with that song Come Do Me, the other thing with that was because, again, the label was trying to replace Big Daddy Kane. So at the time, Genius is dark skinned. At the time, Genius had the high top fade. So they were trying to market him in that Kane lane because, Nate was like, but Daddy, this don't seem like the type of music that they would want to make. And I'm like, baby girl, it's not. Like, RZA did not want to do I Love You, Rakim and Cold, but because people forget that Genius was on Cold Chillin'. And it was during that time they were trying to replace the sexy dark-skinned man, and that's why they had him come in the thing. So I wasn't making that up. That's just what Fly Ty was saying that through the marketing thing. Because think about that. Hey, we don't know Big Daddy Kane, but here's Granddaddy IU. Maybe he is the next Big Daddy Kane. So it just shows you how labels were so thirsty to replace something. And it's funny because we could go into Shine. I never liked Shine, but what was Puffy's whole thing? He sounds like Big. You know what I mean? So somewhere 20 years from now, somebody's going to say that Puffy sounds somebody because he sounds like Big. It's going to sound just as asinine as me saying they were trying to sign somebody with the name Daddy in their name. Like, literally, and that's what Puff did. It was like, yo, we got to get this dude Shine. He sounds like Big. This is how we replace Big. Like, Shine is not even in the same ballpark as Big as an MC. But it didn't matter. It was just like, but he sounded like. But here's the thing: somebody sounded like was probably better than him rhyming like Big. Like somebody, if I could rhyme like Big, I don't have a rapper voice, so I could have sounded like I could have rapped like Big. But that wasn't more important for the people to sell records. You needed to sound like Big for you to kind of believe, oh, this is Big. People don't forget. Puff was trying to sign Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj, the Bad Boy, and market them as the new Big and Little Kim. Right. Like that was Puffy's, that was one of Puffy's schemes a lot of people don't know about, but that was his thing. Not doing anything original. We just gonna replace a big fat dark skinned nigga with another big fat dark skinned nigga, and we gonna replace, this shorty with another shorty, and we gonna market them like that. So, but yeah, Gadget, it's true story about that, at least from Fly Ty. For me, Def Jam, of course, is a top 5 label. It's number 1 to me. It's my foundation. I wasn't around for Sugar Hill Records like that. Like I always say, I think most people, I can't say most people, it's me and Common, because he says I met this girl when I was 10 years old. I fell in love with hip hop in 84 at 10. So I always just use 10 as the litmus scale. So I didn't know enough about Sugar Hill Records. I didn't know anything, but with Def Jam and through Crush Groove, it was like, that's what made me say I want to own a label. Like all throughout my life, that was all I wanted to do. When I got to Morgan State, I heard they had a hip hop show. I need to be on that hip hop show. Like I interned for labels. Here's the funny thing. I interned for Def Jam and had a horrible experience there, horrible experience. Because just like I said, in 84, Polygram brought them. PGD had an office in Philly. I interned with this shorty in Philly. And here's the bad thing about how you don't want to burn bridges. Now I don't give a fuck. But, you still don't want to burn bridges now. But what happened was I was interning for her, and we were in her office. And what Def Jam would do, instead of buying not Def Jam labels, instead of buying a building or buying office space, they would just say, get a 2-bedroom apartment and we'll pay for that. You know what I mean? And the second bedroom is your office. So I was working with this shorty, and she was like, yo, we got to do something for the Greek picnic. And I was giving her all these ideas for Gemini the Gifted One, who's this rapper who was on a subsidiary through Def Jam. And I gave her this idea. I forgot what it was. And like, she loved it. She literally called her boss right there in front of me and was like, yo, I got this great idea. This is what we're going to do. And I was just sitting there like, yo, what the fuck? Like, shorty, you didn't even have a clue of what to do. And you literally like did it right in front of me. You know what I mean? And then another time, Gage, I don't know if you remember this, Bahama Bay. They had this spot in Philly called Bahama Bay. This is one of the dopest spots in the world. Like, yo, in the summer, it was right down by Penn's Landing on the water. They had not fake sand. They had sand. They had volleyball courts, shorties out there in bathing suits playing volleyball. Like Bahama Bay was the spot. And Buju Banton was gonna be there, and she was like, "Kill, I got you on the guest list." And deep down, so I was like, "This shorty does not fuck with me." So I'm not trying to be VIP. I kind of wait till the line dies down. I'm like, "Hey, Kill from Def Jam." And they're like, "Nah, you ain't on the list." Like, and I'm like, "Yo, this shorty ain't even put me on the list." And I'll never forget this. I went to work the next day, and I was like, "Yo, can I get this Buju Banton tape?" Because if you do promo, they hundreds. Her whole office is full of CDs. And I was like, can I get this tape? I really want it. And she was like, no. And I'm like, I took that shit and never came back to work. So again, bad thing to do, because now I sunk a ship. And then I moved to Atlanta, and my man was trying to put me on with PGD Records, and they moved her from Philly to Atlanta. So I couldn't get the job in Atlanta. So it was just, so that's the moral story. Don't burn a bridge. Don't steal a tape because your boss, took credit. Don't do that. But yeah, all of that. But that funny story. So yeah, but to me, Def Jam is number one. It's the label that kind of, to me, built hip hop. And when you think about most labels nowadays, they kind of have a lifespan of 3 to 4 years. Like there was a time that Bad Boy ran shit from, I guess, maybe 96 to 99. Death Row was the shit. You had this 3 to 4 year lifespan. Raucous, but I feel like Def Jam's lifespan, like it kept getting rebuilt. You know what I mean? And I thought what was so dope was like you'd have some of y'all start off with a Beastie Boys and LL and then end with a Meth and a Onyx. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even though you may have been in this era, you were still pulling from either the past or what would have been the future for you. And not too many labels have that longevity of being able to do that. And like you said, Porsche, no matter if it was the 80s, Def Jam was where you wanted to be. You know what I mean? Def Jam, you wanted to be down with Russ. So like you said, you want to get with Rush management, because Russell was going to get you. Trust me.
Right.
So if he couldn't sign you, he was goddamn sure going to manage you.
Right.
Okay. So again, Eric B. and Rakim is on 4th and Broadway, but they're managed by Rush. Like Russ was going to get you some way. And you just wanted, at that time in hip hop, you wanted to be down with that person. The same thing in the mid 90s. You wanted to be down with Puff. You wanted to have a Bad Boy jacket on. You wanted, if you was on the West Coast, you wanted a Death Row chain, And to me, that's what Def Jam represented throughout all the years. So definitely my number one label. And then not to even talk about how it spawned off. We got Def Comedy Jam, which was incredible. Yes. You know what I mean? We got to do a show. We got to do a show about Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah, that was like life-changing for me. I love that. Yeah. Right.
I mean, Def Comedy Jam for Black comics was what Def Jam Records was for Black artists.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you really go back, and I forgot, like if you get the box set, and I'm like, oh shit, he was on here, or like people forget about that dude Talent who used to be funny as hell. But you had exactly. You forget, like, wow, so many people got this start. Chris Tucker, on D.L. Hughley, like Adele Gibbons,
Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac, on Def Comedy Jam, Martin Lawrence hosting it, Kid Capri, DJ, like That was huge. You know, Russell going on to do Fat Farm, you know. So there were so many spinoffs of Def Jam that's dope. And me being the bookworm that I am, for people who want to read it, this was a very dope book. Def Jam Inc. is by Stacy somebody. I don't even want to mispronounce her name, but this was a very dope book. And like I said earlier, please check out Rick Rubin, because a lot of people didn't know who Rick Rubin was until they saw that cell phone ad for Jay's Magna Carta. And everybody, I remember Twitter being like, who's this white dude with the beard laying on the couch? You know, so you had a lot of people who didn't know about Rick Rubin. And Rick Rubin has a must-see show. It's called Shangri-La. It's on Showtime. If you don't have Showtime, do the free shit for a week and just veg out on it. Very dope show of Rick doing his magic, which I really don't know how he does, because Rick is in the studio producing all these people, and the nigga don't touch one instrument. So I'm lost on that, Gage. Maybe we could talk about that, but I'm just like, yo, you're talking to me, Rick, but you ain't touching nothing. Like, you know, I'm not a huge fan of that. You coaching me through shit. Like, people always want to be like, oh, well, it's like Quincy Jones. No, Quincy wrote the fucking music, y'all. Like, Quincy may have not had playing the instruments, but he wrote the music. So I would always say, when people be like, oh, Puff is like Quincy, because Quincy didn't touch that. Quincy plays goddamn every instrument. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, so again, like, Rick is just like sitting there like in a yoga pose, like talking to people. No, I'm dead. I swear to God, watching the show, he is literally sitting here in a yoga pose, like, well, what do you think if you do this? Or maybe we take the drums like this, maybe we don't, you know, and niggas get some magical powers, and next thing you know, it's like produced by Rick Rubin. But in Rick's, I mean, it goes everywhere from the Beastie Boys to Adele to fucking, you know, I mean, his production chops are just long. So if you want to know more about Def Jam, you have those two books. You've got Shangri-La. Watch Crush Groove. If people don't have it, email me, DM me. I will put it in your box for you.
Can you edit Crush Groove just to include the performances?
just take the storyline out. Like, there is no storyline whatsoever. Chili doesn't exist. I tell you what's funny.
You like the movie, Porsche?
On God,
I probably will.
I thought I had it. And another dope book to get is Crazy. I mean, look at how big this is. You can see where my thing is not even a quarter way through it. But if you want to do the knowledge on the Beastie Boys, since, you know, I've talked about License to Ill over and over again, and if you can kind of see, that's the Volkswagen chain I was talking about that people would have, that of course I couldn't afford in 5th grade, so we try to steal the Volkswagen things off your car. But another very dope book to get on the Beasties, because the hard part with me is I fell off with the Beasties when they left Def Jam. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of just and then it that began to show me marketing at work, because then it wasn't I was like, oh, now here's Third Base. And it kind of was like, oh, so they got to replace the Beastie Boys. You had a white group who left. Now here's another white group to replace that white group. So another whole huge thing about the 90s. Anything else about Def Jam? Any memories? Anything else? Right, Gage? I
just want to say that two notable albums on Def Jam that get overlooked. Boss's album.
Yeah.
And Nice and Smooth's album on Def Jam.
Yeah. Ain't nothing changed. Yep.
That was a dope album. Boss was dope. Like, I don't think people were ready for her, man. She was too hard. I don't think they was ready for that coming from a woman at that time.
The crazy thing, I never heard the album. I heard Deeper and I loved it. If I did hear the album, I probably skimmed through it, but it probably wasn't enough to make me hear.
I don't give a fuck. Not a single fuck. Not a single solitary fuck.
Okay. Well,
she was hard.
She was
hard.
And I think one of the things that somebody told me about Boss was something came out like that. She went to Catholic school. So it kind of like
that came out later. That came out later.
Okay.
Came out.
All right. Yeah, I don't know why she didn't blow up. Because Deeper was crazy. Deeper was just stupid.
Yeah,
but then I don't know if she ever had another single either.
She did not a single solitary fuck.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah. Okay, so
it made it to like movie soundtracks and stuff like that. But Deeper was probably on the lighter end of anything she ever came out with. She was just hard, man.
I think the thing with me, and it's one of my holes in hip hop, is that during that time in 92, 93-ish, there was so much great hip hop coming out that if you didn't have a second single, or if you were a new artist, to it because it was saying with Apache, like Gangsta Bitch was my shit. But I can't remember if I ever even listened to Apache's album. And if I did, it wasn't memorable enough for me to even want to listen back to it again.
Yeah, that was the problem. He had his second single was just too hard. Fuck you, Apache.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
I mean,
So we're seeing
right.
something
Right.
going on here.
Like
that, you know,
was hard, but like you said, it could play. You can't play. Fuck you, Apache.
right.
Yo,
And I guess you can't play the boss joint either. What's up, Gatch?
And we've Def Jam had the best soundtracks.
Yes.
Yes.
Rush Hour.
Yo, I
How to
didn't
Be
even
a
touch
Player.
on that.
You got game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it
shit.
sounds like
forgot about
bar
that.
none.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Dope call, man. Yeah, the soundtracks were dope.
Nutty Professor.
Yeah, how to be a player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Def Jam's How to Be a Player. I actually bought that too on iTunes because I love that album.
Yeah.
Didn't they have that terrible ass Mace song where he's rapping over Casanova by Levert? Or is that
I don't know. The only thing I know off of Nutty Professor was the Aaliyah joint. Was the Are You That Somebody? Like that's all I remember off that soundtrack.
Touch Me Tease Me was on that
Yeah.
Nutty.
Oh, word?
Yeah,
Oh,
Red
yeah,
Man.
you're
Red
right.
Man had
You're
the
right.
joint on there too.
Right.
Red
Right.
Man.
And Janet was on there too, right?
I'm not
Janet
sure.
Jackson?
It was on the next Nutty Professor.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the Nutty Professor
Right.
soundtrack.
Right.
But yeah, dope call, Gadget. Dope call. But prayerfully, somebody has learned something about Def Jam tonight. Y'all have had some laughs with Gadget. You know, pay attention. Stay woke with Blair Underwood. Now I gotta pay attention to this dude's filmography.
Every movie.
So be careful with Blair Underwood, man. Don't take your shorty to see a Blair Underwood movie because it may not end well for the shorty in the movie.
Exactly.
Gadget, give him everything, man. You're working on extremely dope project. Right before you even got on, and when I told them you were coming on, the first thing out of Rex's mouth was about the project. So talk about it, tell them what it is, get it all out.
Definitely. The Dirty Old Men Easton Grand album. We named it Easton Grand because that is the corner of the Airbnb that we stayed in to make the album. Me and 13 other producers who met on YouTube went out to Detroit to do an album.
Nice.
And it came out incredibly dope. We worked with some MCs out in Detroit, and it's going to be every producer has a track on there.
Nice.
That's
Thank you. It comes out February 29th.
Oh,
all right,
very
no
nice.
doubt. Also, talk about how some of the other places you've been, because I know y'all do this every year.
Yeah, we went to San Francisco. We went to Chicago. Chicago was off the chain. We I don't know if you know, there's this hotel in Chicago called, I think it's called the Congress. It's haunted because somebody jumped from the balcony or whatever. But that's a spooky ass hotel.
That's where y'all stayed?
We stayed there. We had no idea until we got there. We didn't know until we got there.
Yo. Here's the wild part, B. You said it's haunted. Like you saw some shit. Like
it was some weird shit happening that like people's machines was cutting off, beats was lost, like motherfuckers heard people walking down the hallway. We come out, then nobody be there.
Crazy.
Yo, I apologize. And y'all stayed. Isn't this the joke of black people in horror movies? Like, oh, word this noise, like, yo, we out. Because me and Nate just watched the Stephen King joint, 1408. If y'all ever seen that movie, it's a dope movie about the dude staying in a haunted hotel. And y'all stayed?
We stayed.
I understand, because the other problem with black folk, we don't got a lot of money to be like, okay, we need another hotel. So I totally understand why. Okay, wow. So beats was getting lost, machines is getting turned off, wild stuff.
It was nuts, man.
Wow.
So now I'm intrigued. How did y'all find out about the story?
They got a plaque on the wall. Like it's everybody in Chicago knows about this hotel. We didn't.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, so somebody
the plaque on the wall is like, yo, a nigga jumped off the roof and shit is haunted. Like,
pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A nigga jumped off the roof.
Yo, you see how he put shit?
Yo, that's crazy. I need to get like Porsche and stop swearing because one, Vern's wife is not messing with me because I curse too much. Somebody told me the other day I should be the pastor. I was like, as long as you don't mind your pastor cursing in the pulpit, I am all for it. But yeah, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. So where can they get it at? Bandcamp, give them all the info, all that.
It's gonna be on dirtyoldmen.bandcamp.com or bandcamp.com/dirtyoldmen, but Dirty Old Men is the name of our production group.
All right, now I have all the other joints up there too. Like, do y'all do the? I know y'all do the retreat every year, but do y'all do an album every year?
Yes, we well, this is the first time we actually did work with MCs. We did a remix big album with big acapellas, and we did a remix album for Nas.
Okay.
And that is on there.
All right, so where can they get at you? Where can they get at you? Because you got a million things. People think I got a million things going on. This dude right here got a million things. So with Scratch Magazine and the hats and the shirts and the podcast.
Add Digital Hustler for everything. Dirty Avenue Clothing for the hats and the hoodies. Black Kings Clothing is on Dirty Avenue Clothing. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
All right, no doubt. Porsche, give them everything, miss.
Just Twitter at Cherchez La Porsche.
All right, Rack, give them everything, good brother.
All right, man. So the new mixes will be up this weekend. You can catch that on Mixcloud. Just search DJ Rec 1. Twitter is at DJ Rec 1. Instagram is at DJ Rec 1 as well.
All right, no doubt. You already know what it is. For me, Kill 889, Twitter, IG, we'll make beats for food.com. Quick question. Royce is dropping tonight. Expectations, excitement. I'm gonna listen to it. Anything?
I'm actually super excited. I'm super excited. I have stayed away from singles and anything to do with feedback and reviews about it. People have told me everything's dope that they've heard so far. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Rhett?
I didn't know he was dropping. I'm gonna check it out.
All right, Gadge. What about you?
I'm not excited. I mean, no. I like Royce, but
oh god,
no. I like Royce, but he made the beats. So I mean,
right.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
And here's the funny thing, because the first song I was with Porsche, I was staying away from all the singles. When I heard he was making beats, I was like, okay, well, that expectation went down a little bit. Then I was staying away from the singles, and then everybody kept tagging me in this joint that he had with Westside Gun. I played a song. Yo, the beat is trash. The beat may possibly be one of the worst beats I ever heard.
Yeah.
And then people were like, oh, but Westside told him to loop that. And I would have been like, nigga, no, don't loop that. The beat is so bad. It made me think of when Red and Meth had a comedy show. And they tricked Ludacris. They had Ludacris come to the studio. Exactly. They had Ludacris come to the studio and they played him this beat that there was no way you could catch the flow of it. And Ludacris is like trying to catch it. He's like, I can't. And Red and Meth like, come on, get in there, man. You Ludacris. And I give it to Luda. He tried his damnedest to ride this to the point that Meth was like, can you rib it before? Can you rib it like a frog? And it was like, and Ludacris is like, rib it. Like, I'm like, yo, this nigga is actually fucking ribbing it. Like, yo, this is like the shit niggas do for a check. That should have been the name of that show. Cause I'm like, my niggas not ribbing it on no damn. What's wrong? Like, it could either be the shit niggas do for a check or the shit niggas do for their niggas. But either way, I'm not. Well, Nate's about to go to college. I may rib it on a song. I ain't gonna hold y'all. But for Ludacris, I'm like, come on, B, you rib it in on a song. That's how bad this beat is. That I was like, was this a punk moment or whatever? And like Royce is like, well, Westside told me to loop it. And I'm like, you should have said no. Like, no, Wes, I'm not gonna loop it. But the next two songs I heard are incredible. They're incredibly dope. And I was like, wow, that's a huge bounce back. He's got a song with Benny that's just, it's stupid. And I was like, wow. So from hearing those two songs, I am now hyped to hear the album. But if I would have just heard that West Side song, I probably would have been like, nah, I'm good money. The good thing I can say about this is it's something I never understood about more MCs, why they don't learn to make beats. Like how CL Smooth can't make beats, but you've been in the studio with Pete Rock for like 10 years. Like, or why Guru couldn't make dope beats and you've been in the studio with Premier You know, and I don't know, maybe they're not in the studio to see them, or maybe they're not in the studio, maybe they just have no urge in doing it. But you know,
Guru has joints though. Guru has joints.
Yeah, Guru has some joints. I'll send you this gadget. I'll send you the original J. Rue the Damages demo produced by Guru. I'll send you that, and you can see if he had beats. So I can say, and it ain't. He actually has the original Dirty Rotten Scoundrels that Primo did, which is one of my favorite J. Rue songs ever. He does the same rhymes over a Guru beat. You may not feel like Guru has beats after you hear J. Rue's demo. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But I think that this would be dope if Royce can shift from being a dope MC to being a dope producer. That's huge, because I've only seen two other people do it. One being Havoc, because Havoc went from not making beats to making the Infamous, which is fucking crazy, and Outkast going from Organized Noise to being able to go on and produce what they produce. So I think if Royce can pull this off.
No tip.
Oh, well, I mean, Tip always made beats. You know what I mean?
So, okay. So you're talking, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, just a person who just rapped, who never made beats. What'd you say?
Eric Sermon.
But then it's always so much confusion with E. Sermon, because I heard Parrish said he made the beats. Eric said he made the beats. I got to issue a Big Daddy around here, which is a UK producer magazine.
I have every one of those.
And well, then you have the one with Biz on the front, and in that article, Biz says he made the beats for Strictly Business. Because
I believe Biz,
because Biz is saying here's all the stories. Biz is saying he made the beats because he gave Eric and Parrish all the samples. But then on the flip, I've heard Eric and Parrish say they made the beats because they just took whatever records was laying around their house. The only reason why I believe Eric and Parrish is because the Strictly Business album, as far as genres that were sampled, nobody was sampling. Yeah. They sampled ZZ Top. They sampled who did I Shot the Sheriff? That's
you talking about the Bob Marley joint?
Yeah, the Bob Marley, but a white person, white dude. Everybody black loves him. D'Angelo, Quest, everybody swears by him. He has a clinic for ex-addicts, for people trying to get clean.
About the Average White Band.
No, not the Average White Band. I can't remember his name. But the only reason why I would believe Eric and them is because nobody was sampling ZZ Top at that time in hip hop. Everybody was doing James Brown.
Steve Miller, Biz sampled Steve Miller.
Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton. Thank you, Portia. Eric Clapton. Yeah, he did. Well, who did? Because Marley did. I don't know who did what. This is about to be you know what? We about to do a Clue episode next week on.
He had a clinic who got people clean. Eric Clapton is known for so much more than that.
Right.
Eric Clapton is a phenomenal guitarist. Dude.
Right, but I just couldn't think of it. But it made me think of, because that's where they sent D'Angelo to get clean. Right. So that's why, me being the D'Angelo fan that I am, that's why I went to. I'll be the first to say I don't know a lot about Eric Clapton. I don't. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we gonna do a Clue show on who did what, or Laurel and Hardy, who's on first, because after reading that Juice Crew book, bro, I don't know what Marley did.
Right.
So who knows? But again, there's always going to be questions about who did what. Biz may have done it. Eric and Parrish may have done it. But again, another dope show. I will check y'all next week on who is on first and who really produced what. And did Blair Underwood beat anybody's ass in the past 2 years since the Me Too movement come out? We have to do the research on that. Have directors said we got to chill Blair? You know,
it's in the contract, bro.
Me Too. Right.
It's in the contract. Am I whipping a bitch's ass? Yeah. Okay.
All right, y'all. Next week.